Hello, my name is Dorothy Rose and I'm a goldsmith in Halifax, and today I'm going to talk to you about the origins of diamonds, where they come from and how old they are. I find all this tremendously fascinating. However, before I do that, I just want to acknowledge that today is the anniversary of the tragic mass shooting in Nova Scotia a year ago, and I don't want to make light of that. There will be an opportunity at 3 p.m. Eastern, Atlantic time today, where Nova Scotians will observe 2 minutes of silence for the victims and all those affected. So I just want to have said that. So, it's hard to keep on trucking, but I will keep on trucking. So, diamonds. Last week I talked about the 4 C's, the basics of what one thinks about when one buys diamonds and chooses diamonds. And in fact, I'd like to maybe talk about the 5th C at some point in the future, which is Canadian. That's something close to my heart, but we'll talk about that another day. Today I want to talk about how diamonds came to be on this earth to begin with. So, and I don't even know where to start, to be honest, because it's such there's so much to convey, and I'm terrible at writing things down ahead of time, so I'll just shoot from the hip. So if you think about the formation of the Earth, was about 4.6 billion years ago, they think. And the oldest diamond that has been found is 3.6 billion years ago. So what that means is that shortly after the Earth formed, and then the ocean formed, and then the first kind of beings came into being. Life on Earth started, followed by the creation of diamonds. So it's some of these diamonds, even the ones that are harvested, I want to say today, dug up today, are really, really, really old. And in fact, I'll get into that later about how old some of them are. But I just find that so amazing if you think about how old diamonds are, how long they've been in the earth. And I suppose we'll talk about at this point how they're created and where they're created. So let's first talk about where. So if you imagine the Earth like a peach, and the peach pit would be the core of the Earth, and then the flesh of the peach would be the mantle, and then the skin of the peach would be the crust. And almost every gemstone out there would be created in the crust of the Earth. There are only 2 gemstones that are created in the mantle, and those are diamonds and, curiously, and I did not know this actually, peridot. Peridot and diamonds are the only ones that are created in the mantle. And they then have to be brought to the surface. So how do the diamonds come to the surface? Some people might imagine like a volcanic eruption, things coming out from the earth. Not quite exactly how that happened, but it is similar. There's a whole bunch of things that need to happen, and basically it's so technical. I don't want to get too technical, but there's certain parts of the earth crust that are thicker or more stable than others. These stable ones are called cratons, and they are they're never under the ocean. They are on like land, on a continent. And if there's a stable craton, and then underneath that, what happens? Long story short, is magma and rock and gas starts gathering up and delivering things to the surface. And the way that looks, if you look at a picture, it looks almost like by the time they're done, so it goes up and up and up, And as it's coming closer to the surface, it's actually fairly slow considering other, like, for example, volcanic eruptions. This is relatively slow, but it does start gaining speed as it comes closer to the surface. It has something to do with the pressure, and I can't remember exactly, but it gets faster and faster as it comes. And when it comes to the surface, by that time it would have gotten to a speed of 300 kilometers an hour. And this is about what happens. It's a little bit like, because gases develop too, and then it's a little bit like a champagne cork popping. I just thought I'd give you that picture there, because I happen to really like sparkling wine, and I really like that that analogy. So these, this is how the diamond crystals are delivered to the surface. It's incredibly violent. The word violent is often used. It's a violent journey to the surface, and they usually end up in a crater, a little bit of a crater, not like a volcano at the top of a mountain, but a crater. And underneath it will be like a pipeline like this. It's carrot shaped, is the word that's often used. And that will have the kimberlite. It's usually kimberlite. There is another kind of transport rock also, but kimberlite is the most common, what is that called? Igneous rock, like rock that was molten and then becomes solid. And it delivers these diamonds much closer to the surface. And the fact that it's carrot shaped like this, or cone shaped, explains why when you see open pit diamond mines, they have these circles that become concentric circles that become smaller and smaller. It's because that's what the deposit is. The deposit is in this shape too. I didn't know that either, but I found that made a lot of sense. So kimberlite delivers these diamonds, but that's not to say that every kimberlite deposit would contain diamonds. In fact, most of them don't, but some of them do. And what else can I tell you about that? Yes. So how are the diamonds made then? What makes the diamond before they get delivered? Diamonds are, as you probably maybe know, I don't know, maybe just jewelers know this, but diamonds consist of carbon, the same as charcoal or a graphite pencil. And at the same time, diamonds are the hardest natural substance that exists on the earth. And they can cut so many other things. Like in India, in ancient times, diamonds were used to carve gemstones, for example. And when we talk about the Mohs hardness scale, the diamonds are the hardest substance by far. The next rock down would be gemstone. Down would be corundum, which is sapphires and rubies. And then nothing comes for the rest of them are all lower. But diamonds are incredibly hard. So how could they possibly be the same mineral as graphite, like a pencil, that is so smooth and just or charcoal that just crumbles. And the difference in this is how the atoms connect. So if you can imagine, for graphite, the atoms all, like if this was a graphite thing, the atoms all connect in like this crisscrossy way along one plane, and then the next plane, and then the next and the next. So they're all separate planes, and you can move them like this. So that's what makes graphite soft. That's what makes it, able to write with a graphite pencil. Whereas in diamonds, there has been such tremendous pressure and heat in play that basically jammed those carbon atoms together, and they're now like this. And you can't move these. This is much stronger. So the graphite is two separate planes of atoms able to move. Diamond, closely knit in all, like three-dimensional. Each one connects to another one this way and that way, and that's what makes diamonds so hard. And again, as I said, the way that works is it's the heat and pressure. So diamonds need heat and pressure to come into existence, and they need carbon, because carbon is all they're made out of. Other than any inclusions that might be other stuff, that is other stuff. The carbon is has to already be there, and then you add heat and pressure, and that's what's needed for diamond creation. And the pressure is like, it's really intense. Pressure itself is actually something very curious. Like, you can pressurize water and it will freeze just from the pressure, because the molecular structure changes. So pressure alone can exude a lot of power, and then heat can exude a lot of power, and the two of them together, like, things change, and that's what happens. That's what happens. So the creation of diamonds, and then it's curious to know too that when those diamonds are delivered to the surface, there's also heat and pressure. The pressure becomes less as it goes further up, gets faster. The heat might be pretty intense. So diamonds can actually, on that journey to the Earth's surface, they can actually just like become charcoal. They just disintegrate on the way, because it's just the oh, hey Gohar, nice to see you. Come on. Yeah, so diamonds can actually just frizzle out on the way up, because the conditions aren't right. So the conditions need to be right. Not every kimberlite pipe has a pipe, is what that's called, has diamonds in it by a long stretch. And then also, out of all the diamonds mined, only about 20% are gem quality. Oh no, sorry, I think it's 30%. I think it's 30% that are gem quality of all the diamonds mined. So that makes it seem like fairly hard to find. Having said that, diamonds are not as rare as you might think. They're pretty special, definitely, as all of this illustrates, but they're not as rare as you think. There are gemstones that are much more rare than diamonds, like alexandrite, for example. Annually, I think there are about 130 million carats of diamonds produced, something like that. It's like a huge amount of diamonds that are produced. So they're not as rare as you'd think, but they're way harder than anything else, which is why I, as a goldsmith, like them, because they're going to be very durable. If I like them for the same reason that I like gold, because it doesn't tarnish and doesn't disintegrate in the same way as silver does. So let's see, is there anything else I wanted to tell you? Let's see, I do have a couple of notes here. I don't see what else. That they are special, I said that. They're strongly bonded. I wish we could have questions. If you had any questions, I would definitely be happy to answer them. Oh yeah, I know. So, not all diamonds are equal. As I said, only 30% are gem quality, and I think what they mean by gem quality is that kind of... Here, let me show you. So diamonds don't come out of the earth cut and as we think of them. So sorry, I totally spaced out on this. Diamonds come out... First of all, here's a picture of one in the carrier rock, which I just find that an amazing picture. This is an octahedron shape. Diamonds come in various different shapes, and the crystals, natural crystals. And this one is kind of like if you imagine two pyramids stuck on top of each other. That's what that shape is, and those are often gem quality. But then they're also different shapes. They come in these ones that have triangle crystals in them. And they come in the kinds of shapes that... I think this one also is one with triangles. Yeah. So oftentimes like that. And then they also, you can see they also come in... Like, this is a rather large one. It doesn't look large. Oop, that's making me larger, not the picture. But, this is a rather large find, and I forget now which one it is. But when there's a really big find, the people get very excited, needless to say. And So they come in all kinds of, this is what a diamond find might look like. I didn't take down the notes exactly of how many tons of earth need to be moved to retrieve diamonds. That's a kind of a not fun thing to think about. It is true. Nowadays, people are very, very careful, especially with the Canadian diamonds. Again, I'm going to talk about that another time. But this would be, rough diamonds. And they're then... stop sharing for a second. They are then cleaved, so they have cleavage lines. Cleavage? Yeah, they're cleaved. They have like lines where they want to break. A rough diamond crystal like that would have a line where it wants to break, and a diamond cutter knows where that line is. I cannot imagine the pressure to be under, especially to cleave a really big one, but they can figure out where those lines are, and then the diamond is like basically just hit in the right spot with the right tool, and it'll just separate there. So diamonds are not indestructible by any stretch of the imagination. And from there, then a diamond cutter would figure out the right proportions and which place to start at, and would start cutting the first rough outline of the diamond, and then depending on the shape of the rough and the shape that they decide would bring the best yield for that rough. And that's the case with gem quality diamonds. I do want to say, because I was just saying diamonds are not indestructible, diamonds actually can be burnt, believe it or not. And they're very hard. They're the hardest natural substance on Earth, and they can cut many other substances, but they're not indestructible. For example, they can be burnt in a house fire. A diamond could burn. If the temperatures get high enough, they will burn, and basically become like I wish I had gotten a picture of that. It looks like white, like styrofoam. It's not a pretty picture for a jeweler to look at a burnt diamond. It's a horrible thing. Also, a jeweler's torch can do that if you use it wrong. I don't want to think about that either. That would not happen. But the interesting thing about a burnt diamond is that it can be recut. So again, a skilled gem cutter can take the outside of the burnt stuff off and cut it, recut it and repolish it. And then the resulting diamond, of course, will be smaller, but it is possible. So I thought that was really interesting. And then the other thing that happens is some of the diamonds look more like, I wonder if I have a photo of that. No. Some of the diamonds look more, I have some, well, now I may need to use my little light here. They look more like, I'm gonna have to use this. 1 second while we connect your call. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So these, I'm keeping them, this is like upside on its side. So these are also rough diamond cubes, rough diamond crystals, in this case cubes. And that's also a diamond. They used to be used more for industrial purposes until really Todd Reed in the States was the first one who started using rough diamonds. And I'm rather fond of them. I haven't used them much, but nowadays they're often cut then. Like this is a rosecut rough diamond. Rosecut meaning that it's got the facets just on the top, because of course it's not reflecting light. This is a really pretty pair of brown kite-shaped rosecut rough diamonds. So these would have the same hardness as a diamond, but obviously they don't have the refractive situation going on because they're, cut differently. Well, I have more of these, but maybe that's enough. Like this one is quite pretty. I fall in love with these, when I see my gem merchants. This one, again, rosecut with that checker. Not exactly rosecut. It's got these checkerboard things going on. And then once upon a time I came across this diamond. I was really quite fascinated. Oh, I'm sorry, there's dirt in there or something. Fiber. This is actually a brilliant cut rough diamond. Well, it's an extremely included diamond, let's put it that way. Last week we were talking about the different diamond clarity. This is not acceptable, but it's called a salt and pepper diamond. And, there is a market now for them, as they say. I just thought it was so weird. So normally a diamond like that nobody would normally bother cutting a diamond like that. In a brilliant cut, I mean. Because the idea with the brilliant cut, the word brilliance refers to the fact that it's supposed to be reflecting light inside and out. I talked about that last week, about how the proportions have to be exactly correct in order for the light to actually have time and space to travel in and out of that diamond to give it that brilliance. If there's that many inclusions in a diamond, that can't happen. I had a phase where I was also, well, I do actually like rough diamonds. I have appreciation for it, and I did create the series which I'm wearing today. This also comes with earrings, but my ears are not pierced, believe it or not. And this is a rough diamond cube here, wrapped with 22 karat gold. And the 22 karat gold is very fabric like wrapped around that rough diamond cubes, same kind as I just showed you. You know, this kind of thing, same size, same batch actually. And my idea with this was that it was I was thinking about Charles Rennie Mackintosh and the kind of Art Nouveau rosette, and that's what inspired that. And I wanted to create a piece that's just very, that draws people in, where you want to. It's very delicate and very elegant, very understated, and you look in, and it's a traditional combo of diamonds and gold, but in a slightly different way. So as I like doing, oh, thank you, Shanda. Yeah, I really like that piece. I haven't made these in a little while. I have to see if I'm gonna make them again. Okay, so I think we're gonna leave it with that. I'll say one more thing because Shanda actually is watching, and she asked, I think as a result of my newsletter, oh no, it was on Facebook. Asked about cleaning diamonds. That's not at all really what we're talking about here, but I may as well mention it now that I think of it. And when you have diamond jewelry, or really any gemstone jewelry, there are a few basic things. I do have a thing on my FAQs on my website that you can look at. There's more detailed description, but the basic gist is warm water and dish soap. That's really your ticket. You just soak it in the warm water and dish soap. If you want to work on it a little bit, generally, I didn't even have a ring here, but generally, generally dirt accumulates underneath the stone, and so a very soft, like a baby toothbrush, and some dish soap will do wonders. Don't use a harsh toothbrush because it can A, harm your metal, and B, it could loosen the stone. You don't want to do that. Just in case, I don't. Well, depending on how old your setting is and who did it. But yeah, go in there with a little bit, soak a little bit, and go in there with a baby toothbrush. That'll really help. And you'll be surprised how much that will do, actually. I do sell a cleaner also for fine jewelry as well as a silver dip. But if you want to just do a home remedy, that's perfectly fine. And sometimes you can use Mr. Clean. Not on white gold. Never on white gold, because the nickel will react with the... Actually, my white gold you can do it with, because it's nickel-free. And it is the palladium white gold is fine. So, Shanda, you're okay. But Mr. Clean works pretty good, like a solution, with warm water again. So, I hope that's helpful, and I'm going to leave it with that now. And I have not decided yet what I'm going to talk about next week. I might stick with the diamond thing and talk a little bit about Canadian diamonds, and maybe the last week I'll talk about, or maybe next week is, Earth Day would make sense. Platinum. Platinum is fine, no nickel, so that's okay. Maybe I'll talk about Canadian diamonds next week for Earth Day, and maybe I'll talk about laboratory-grown diamonds, which is also, more and more people come across that, so it might be interesting for you to know. So I wish you a very good Sunday. Please, again, thanks for the love. Please join in. If you're watching this live at 3 o'clock today in Nova Scotia, please join in the 2 minutes of silence. And, it's always good to remember how fragile life is. Take good care, and I'll see you next week. Bye.